have to feel what you're giving and what you're putting out with this. Because once you get on that stage with him, you can hear it in his voice. Now you have to try to match what he's doing.
Robert Jones Jr. has spent 2 years on the road as guitarist for Grammy-winning soul singer October London. In this episode of Guitars of R&B, Robert talks tour life and a sudden curveball that called for quick thinking on stage.
I was terrified in that moment. I thought we were all getting fired that day.
From his first big break playing for the godmother of soul, Miss Patti LaBelle, and later Tyrese, Robert shares hard-earned advice for aspiring touring guitarists.
The easiest way to not get a call back is if you think the show is about you.
He reveals the subtle choices that let him shine without stealing the show.
How do you approach adding your voice without overshadowing the singer?
I usually get in and get out. I'm playing with the band, not against the band.
And Robert opens up about the highs, lows, and staying sane on the road.
Robert Jones Jr. Let's talk about how you got to this level that you're at today. You know, when did you start playing guitar?
Believe it or not, I kind of started out singing and playing drums first. So I was kind of jumping around a little bit, and my dad said, I don't know, that guitar might be your niche. You know, that might be your thing. I still got a little bit of vocals, but that's not going to happen ever again. But I started out in quartet gospel. Gospel is my number one home. It's my heart. You know, a lot of R&B legends, a lot of R&B guitar players come from quartet gospel. And a lot of gospel, is brought into other genres. So I started humble age of 8, quartet, and I just kept doing it throughout my life.
What are the similarities there in terms of playing quartet gospel and playing R&B?
Some of the similarities, I'll go back and I'll mention one of all of our favorite guitar players in R&B is Spanky. Yeah. Spanky, played on all of D'Angelo stuff, and I can just talk about him. He's done he's done Mighty Clouds of Joy. He's done a lot of quartet. So a lot of that style kind of came from us listening to that. And there's a certain, I guess you could say, twang in quartet that you kind of gotta have. It's like moving chords. A lot of quartet guitarists listen to piano players, so they kind of play like piano players. So that thing is kind of meshed together, I guess you can say. One day I'll make you mine. Sing it down. 'Cause I was falling.
How would you define R&B guitar?
It's a lot of chording. It's a lot of feel that stands out. It's not really doing a lot, but it's like an in and out. It's like rhythm, lead. You got your rhythm side, but you can kind of get in and out with your lead tones. But you kind of go right back to your rhythm. I can remember, just an example, I can remember playing in my dad's gospel group. We didn't have a keyboard player, so I had to do all of everything. I was playing bass and rhythm on the lead guitar. So I was kind of trying to fill in those spots where the keyboard player was not there. So it kind of teaches you to kind of play with everyone. Once you get out there, you kind of know who to play with, who to stay off of. If you're playing with a keyboard player, you don't want to use certain chords. You want to kind of, you want to kind of figure your way around. That's why I say there's a certain feel there with quartet that you learn. When you kind of cross over in R&B, it kind of feels like home, I guess you could say.
So what have you spent the most time refining?
I would say chording and tone, because playing is one thing, but if your tone is not good, it's not gonna matter. You can play different chords 5-6 times on a show, but if your tone is not good, if it's muffled, if it's not clear, if it's not something that'll catch the ear, you're just playing and you're just there, you got to have something that catch the ear. So I'm more so on a tone. I'm a tone guy, and how I'm making these tones happen without a pedal or with just going directly through an amp. You don't have to always use a pedal just to get those tones. It's certain feels and ways that you can kind of get around that neck of that guitar that will stand out.
And when you say chording, are you talking about inversions?
Absolutely. Chording inversions, playing the right inversions in certain places, to make sure it doesn't clash with everything else. That is very, very, very important. Very important.
And so are there licks or chord voicings or phrasings that you keep coming back to in R&B?
Yes, absolutely. Muscle memory is probably one of my biggest pros and cons, because I keep playing the same thing over and over again. But yeah, muscle memory will definitely take you back to certain things that you just know. You know, you don't even have to look at your neck. You just kind of just doing it, and you're like, I want to do something different, but I guess that's just my thing. So, you know, a lot of us, I will say this, a lot of us listen to each other, you know, and with that, you got a certain ear that you kind of just feed off of each other. That's what I kind of like about the R&B community. You know,
Right.
people stand out, but they also kind of they kind of feed and listen to each other. They feed off of each other and how they play, and it's certain licks that you just can't get away from that everybody kind of use.
Oh, really? Okay. So
Absolutely.
they're all using the same, but can you tell who's playing just by
Um,
listening to them?
absolutely. Jubu Smith. I
Mm,
mean, if you listen to Jubu, if you listen to Isaiah Sharkey,
yeah.
um, these are guys that are just, I mean, incredible. And you know, when you hear Jubu play a solo, you know, you're like, it's Jubu again. That is absolutely incredible. It's just certain things, you know, that they made stand out for them. And I always say, when you get out, you got to find your niche. You got to find your certain thing that you do, that say, oh, well, that's RJ, or that's this person, or that's Jubu, or you know what I mean? You got to find something in between there to make it yours.
How do you find that though? You know, how do you find that? Do you kind of play around with it and then think, I haven't heard anybody else do this?
Yes. So you kind of got to sit down and I know that I know that somebody else played it, right?
Yeah.
But if you can put just like a extra little twang, it may be just the extra note that you hit in that somebody else has not done, that you make yours, but you play it every time. Then
Mm.
people will know, oh well, you know, that's RJ, or that's Carrie. Shout out to Carrie Marshall from Birmingham. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So it's certain things that you can do that make you stand out. Yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, Kerry's amazing, isn't he? Everyone loves Kerry.
absolutely, absolutely.
How do you approach, adding your own voice without overshadowing a song or a singer, as a guitarist? Because there can be a tendency to overplay, right? Or playing
Right.
in the wrong place or clashing with the bass player. But how do you approach adding your voice without overshadowing the singer or the
Just
song?
take right. That's a great question. Really just paying attention to holes and spots. The way that I look at it, the way that I see it is, I usually get in and get out, if that makes sense. So while the singer is singing, I'm playing with the band, not against the band. If there is a color choice that I'll choose that color choice when the singer's kind of not on the mic. I'll wait till they kind of say something or sing a verse, and then I'll get in and get out. Or it's real tasteful type of stuff. But I always make sure I'm playing with the band and not against the band, even if I don't get a moment to kind of throw anything in there. That's how you keep working. You make sure you play with everyone. Um,
Yeah.
that's the easiest way to not get a call back is if you think the show is about you.
You're supporting the singer, right? It's not a solo. I mean, because you can solo and think, this is my moment. I'm going to take the floor.
That's it. That's it. That's one thing I can say about my bro, October London. You know, he's created so many opportunities for me, just not just me, but the entire band. He does not want to be up there. It's just, oh, it's my show. Everybody stay back in the back. The spotlight's on me. He's going to give you 6 or 7 solos a show, and not only is he going to do that, he's going to let the people know who you are. This is
Yeah.
RJ. He's from Birmingham. This is Javon or Mario. These are my bros. This is not just my band. I want them to get spotlight as well. That is your time to give it your all. But as far as you're not going to work for all artists like that, you got a couple artists that will just They want you to be back there. You work. You don't overwork. You work, and you get out the way. So that's how I look at that.
Let's talk about life on the road. You've been on the road with October London for months. And of course, October is this incredible artist who's signed by Snoop Dogg. Can you tell us a bit about that experience? What it's been like for you and what it's like playing on such big stages around the world?
First of all, playing for October is kind of like playing for a family member. It's like being around family. Basically, he is family now. I'll give you a little background history on how I met October and how that became a thing. He had a show back in 2023, December 2023, here at a auditorium called the Boutwell Auditorium, and I'd gotten a call um, because he was looking kind of for a band at the time, so he was trying out different people, going to state and kind of trying out different people. And when I got that call, I was like, oh, this is kind of up my alley. I'm kind of an old soul. So I like the Marvin Gaye. They call me an old soul. So I kind of lean into that. I got that call. I learned every song, pretty much every guitar part that I possibly could of his. Showed up to that gig, killed it. I got a call a week later, him calling and asking, hey, you want to go on tour? That was all she wrote. So I've been on tour with him since January 2024.
Was that your big break?
I'll say for me, yes. I will say that getting out and playing with Patti LaBelle was probably the opening of everything. I had my cousin, shout out to Eric Dubose. He's a left-handed guitarist out of Birmingham, Alabama. He's been played with Babyface, Patti LaBelle, and likes of other people. Just wanted to shout him out. Called me and said, hey, cuz, I need you to come play with Patti. And at the time, I was just kind of doing my in-town recording sessions with different people and in-town gigs. And he's like, hey, I think you're ready. And I was like, well, I've done a few major shows, but this one right here, I don't know. He was like, you ready? Sent the music, did about 3 shows with Patti. That crew was amazing. Got to know her. She was just like being at home with your mom or grandmom or anybody like that. She's amazing. The whole staff and band is amazing. And from there up, it's been great ever since. The sky's been the limit, basically.
What I really noticed about that story that you just told is it's about connections. It's about who you know, right?
Absolutely. Relationships is one of the biggest things that you can have with people. It's not just about being on stage all the time. It's about who wants to be around you and who you want to be around. No one's going to recommend somebody that they don't want to be around. Showing up to gigs late, half playing the music, learning the music, that's big in this industry. So having relationships is probably one of my top 3 things to have to be able to be successful.
You're touring so much right now at this level. What's it been like adjusting to life on the road?
Although I've been doing it for, the past 2 years or so, I'm not sure if I 100% adjusted, but I will say this, what helps me is knowing what times of day to eat and when not to eat and getting proper rest. You can get done with a show if you're on tour. If you're a closing artist, probably 11:30, 12 o'clock, and now you're looking for food. But I had to be one of the people that says I probably should not eat right now because it would make me very sluggish the next morning. So you got to figure out your own kind of pace when you get out here and start doing this stuff. It's everybody. I guess everybody's a little different. But once you figure that pace out, then you can kind of get adjusted to it. Like I said, it's an adjustment because things are always kind of changing. But once you get used to working with someone, like I've been working with October 2 years, everything is just kind of smooth now with him.
Yeah.
We don't really have any hiccups other than travel. Travel can be a little bit of a hiccup, canceling flights and stuff like that. So it takes a lot of patience and a lot of water, drink a lot of water.
But what's a day in the life on tour like for you, from sound check to performance to downtime as well?
A day in the life for me, at one point it was just me showing up, getting up for sound check, and plugging my guitar in. Now, since I've been promoted to musical director with October
Fantastic.
London, thankful,
Congratulations.
thankful. Thank you so much. Now it's a little bit more. I make sure I keep in contact with the band, and I have to keep a schedule of everything and how everything is kind of flowing throughout that day. So keeping communication is a big thing for me now. Whereas I was the one answering text messages, I'm the one asking for answers from people now. And hey, do you need this from me? Is it anything that I can do here, or is it anything, that type of thing? So for me, I kind of lay low the best that I can.
Do you ever experience anything like loneliness on tour? Because a lot of people think that it's really fun because you're always with people. Do you need to withdraw sometimes? Is that quite difficult, or do you know what I mean?
That's a great question. I'm learning to kind of take time to myself, if that makes sense. Because you don't really know how you're going to be feeling the next day. You have your high points and you have your really low points where you're just like, oh man, I am just out here today. But you can't you can't, for me, I can't put myself in a place to get to that point because I'm one of the smiling faces that everybody kind of relies on. And the team, they're great, they're amazing, and everybody's just kind of upbeat. So I kind of try to make myself stay upbeat. But like I said, I still have to figure out how to, withdraw and have my time, to myself and breathe. I think that's very important for mental health. You have to make sure you're taking care of your mental health on that road because you're right. It does get very lonely sometimes.
October London, he's got this amazing vintage soulful voice. It's been compared so much to Marvin Gaye. How does it influence the way you approach parts in terms of phrasing or tone or feel?
With that feel, it's really just playing the music. It's not any deviations. It's not adding any. You can be yourself, but it's a certain feel and almost swagger you gotta have when you're approaching that '70s music because that music back then was being recorded with bands.
Yes.
You weren't in this time where you were using AI. I'm not saying that AI is all bad because AI can be used for good. But I am saying that those were times when musicians used to really rehearse and they used to sit down and they used to come up with these movements and these feels, and you could just feel what they were playing. So the way that I approach this music is I just feel it. You have to feel what you're giving and what you're putting out with this, because once you get on that stage with him, you can hear it in his voice. You can hear it in his voice. Now you have to try to match what he's doing. When we did the Serenade tour, it was literally just me and him in tracks. It was not a full band. And our tracks went out one show. I whispered in his ear, I had the mic, I said, hey, we just got to go for it. And he was like, let's do it. That was one of the best moments on the tour because it was an acoustic moment with no tracks, no nothing, just me and him on that stage. Wow. Crowd loved it.
What was it about that, do you think?
I think it was just organic. Sometimes we can get into learning so many arrangements that I think people sitting down can feel that, oh, this is a show. But when they feel that something happened organically in that moment and you're just kind of going off the cuff, oh, that was not supposed, like they're sitting down, that wasn't supposed to happen. But let's see what he does. Does he pivot or does he just crash out? When they feel that type of pivot, it's like, oh man, they might really have it, or he really got it. If you can pivot like that on the fly, they can tell that you're really in this thing to really do it.
At that moment, what was that like for you though?
Terrified. Yeah. When it happened, I was like, it's either we keep going, right? Or we let this track do what it does and we just screw up and then let them start the track again. I was trying to keep it as professional as possible. If you stop a song and then you start this track over, it's going to look bad to everyone. So in
Yes.
that moment, the best thing to do is to just keep going. Make this an acoustic moment and just keep it moving. This guy has the voice. You don't have all of the extra auto tunes, and those like the auto tunes. Shout out to everybody that use auto tune, but you don't have all of that in this guy's voice. So you might as well let's just do it. Let's go for it. But I was terrified in that moment. I thought we were all getting fired that day.
Oh my gosh. That's the professionalism, isn't it? That's
It.
professionalism. How do you avoid burnout on tour? Because you're playing night after night. That's a lot. It takes a lot from you.
Avoiding burnout is something I am still trying to kind of work through. I think one thing I'll do, I kind of ask musicians that's been doing it longer than me, just how they, kind of cope with it. Some people give different versions of how they do it. Like one guy told me, he was like, well, I'm just a beat up old man now. And the tour life just beat me up. And then I was like, well, it's not very encouraging, but thank you for that, and then I had somebody else just say, when you have your off days, you do just that. You take those off days and you breathe. And I'm gonna be honest with you. My off days, I have stayed in bed all day. Some days I have not. Like I would just kind of, try to rejuvenate myself and get myself going. But the burnout is a very, very hard thing. It's a hard thing. I'm trying to still kind of figure that part out, I guess.
For aspiring guitarists watching, what's the one thing that's made the biggest difference in you getting a call back? Would you say it is relationships, or is it something else? Or
a few things of relationships. Number one, learning the music, showing up prepared, not showing up to the rehearsals, rehearsing. When I say that, showing up to the rehearsals, knowing the music. It's cool to go to a rehearsal, but you don't go to rehearsal in the thought of I'm going to learn it. You go in to already know it. Being prepared, keeping a smile on your face, and being able to be lived around. People can live around you, and people want to be around you. Basically, I would just say just to make sure you're a great human being. There are some pretty bad human beings, but you don't want to aspire to be them. My thing is I always aspired to be somebody that, when I pass away one day, a lot of people would want to come to my funeral to see me. And being that person, I want to be a light in every room that I stand in. So that's that. And to be honest with you, that's really how a lot of my callbacks happen.
How do you deal with that, the bad in the industry though? Because I mean, I know you can control what you do or what you give out, but when you're coming across people who are maybe mean or not exactly nice to you, how do you handle that?
You always have to have, as I would call, an OG that you can call and say, hey, I need help, or I need help with this, or how do I deal with this? When I've ran across people with, I guess we call them egos. You kind of just still be yourself and move on. You try not to let that type of thing affect you. Even if you're playing for someone with that type of energy, you deal with that energy and you kind of just rub it off your shoulders and keep it moving. That's the best that I can say in that type of situation. You don't let that type of energy rub off on you the best that you can.
That's hard, isn't it? But it's crucial for longevity.
Absolutely.
So looking ahead then, I know you love October, but who would you love to play with in future, and why?
So I get this question a lot, and I always
Do
say
you? Okay.
two of the people that I would have loved to be on stage with are not with us anymore, unfortunately, and that was Michael Jackson and Prince. Those are two people that I would have absolutely loved to. That just wasn't in the cards for me, and that's okay. But looking towards the future, I'm always just playing to that gig and trying to figure out what that next gig would be. I'm one of those people that is thankful for whoever gives the call. Whoever's the next call, I'm thankful for it. I think right now in this season, I think me and October is that particular duo that's going to be taking over a lot of stuff, hopefully. But I would love, to be honest with you, I would love to have my name in Grammy talks or something. Would love to do some kind of production and have a Grammy on the wall, or something like that. But I don't have a specific person that I would like to work with. Just the next call is the best call, so I take it like that.
Okay, so are there any projects you're working on at the moment, away from touring, that you're
Yes,
excited to explore?
I have finally started trying to work on my own project.
Fantastic.
It's been a long time coming. I'm sitting down and kind of writing some stuff now, so hopefully I'll be able to get that done. Of course, I'm always working on October's projects. He just released a country album. Playing on 2 of 3 songs on that album, so I'm always kind of working, doing production work at home as well.
Right. So would this be production for yourself or for other artists? Do you see yourself stepping back into singing? I know you said that won't happen soon, but are you tempted?
A little bit. I'm tempted, but I also know I'm real enough to know that that's not my lane too. So
Okay.
I may do something on my project, where I pay homage to my father who was a singer. But I'll leave it at that. I'm not trying to be, anybody going to The Voice or American Idol or anything like that. But I've been tempted. I have been tempted. Yes.
So with your own productions then that you've started, you writing songs? What's your setup with that?
Yeah. I'm pretty much I'm writing kind of my own material. Um I'm a little nervous. Everybody's kind of nervous about their own work. I've never really just put a instrumental single out before. Now I've been on projects with my father in the quartet world, but this will be just my own, I guess, baby. So we'll see how this goes. We'll see how this
And
goes.
what's the style? What's the sort of genre? Is it R&B? Is it gospel? Does it have other influences in there?
It's a little bit of gospel, R&B, blues mix type of thing. I would love to do like a jazz album or instrumental jazz album, but right now I'm just kind of going where my heart is taking me, and my heart is taking me to do some gospel R&B type of stuff. Just I feel like I want to put something out, paying homage to my parents. My parents are no longer with me, unfortunately. So I feel like I'm kind of, thank you. I feel like I want to kind of do something centered around that, So it's gonna be kind of like gospel R&B type of thing.
The future of R&B. What keeps you excited about playing guitar in this genre?
I'm excited about all the young musicians that I'm seeing like on the internet, that I'm running across on certain shows. The future is extremely bright for musicians and R&B as a whole. I think everybody's kind of influenced by all of the greats and legends. And now, when I was coming up, in my city, I'll say, I was kind of the new thing on the block, the new kid on the block. He's like, oh, this young guy is really good at what he's doing. But now it's millions of just 6 and 7 and 8-year-olds that are just on a professional level already, and they got this gift. So I'm amazed to see what a lot of other guitarists are doing next, and just where that will take them. I just love to see other people win. It's not just about me. I like to see pretty much everybody in the genre win when it comes down to it.
Robert, what are you gonna play?